We're here talking with Lamar Slay about capital campaigns. And really right now, we're going to be talking about the secrets of successful campaigns. And so in that, how would you rate the value of marketing or publicity in a successful campaign?
Yeah. It's really important because in all your campaign materials, you want it a cut above what you normally do, but you don't want it extravagant. You don't want people getting the brochure and go, wow, if we hadn't done this, we could have built that building with the money we spent on this brochure. So you want to make sure that it's a cut above, but not extravagant. You've got a lot of factors with communication. One is how you communicate events to people. We do a lot of small in-home meetings with 25 to 35 people. And what we found is that 3 weeks ahead of that meeting, we'll send out a formal invitation. It'll say you're cordially invited, and here's your date, here's your address, that sort of things. The next week, which is 2 weeks out, the pastor sends a letter and he says, hey, last week you got your invitation to this vision dessert. I'm going to be there. I'm looking forward to see you. I hope you've made your reservations. And then 2 weeks ahead, we have, between 1 and 2 weeks ahead, we have a phone team that calls and reminds them and says, hey, your vision dessert is next week. If you haven't made your reservations, I can make it for you. If the night of your event is a problem, we can put you on another night. And what we found is those 3 weeks are really key because 4 weeks out is too early. People don't put stuff on their calendar. 2 weeks out, it's too late. Their calendar's full. So that 3 weeks out is just a key. And that's just one of those things you learn by being involved and knowing your people and knowing how they communicate. We also, you have print material, usually you have a video, and then usually you have the traditional mailings, email, phone, those sort of things. And so all of those have got to be quality. You don't want to so focus on the building and give so many details of the building that if a restroom has 3 stalls instead of 5 stalls, you don't have somebody come and point and go, right here, you said we're going to have 5 stalls in the ladies' bathroom. You don't want to do that, but you want to give your congregation an idea of what the project is and be wise in doing that. Print, it's just got to be sharp. If you don't have anybody on your staff that can do it, that's the place you need to spend some outside money and have it done and have it done right.
Yeah. And so when I hear you say is like, don't put your eggs in one basket. That approach right there just hit basically all the levels of publications that you can actually be receiving.
Yeah, and that's really important because people learn and people remember things different ways. One of the things a church has to remember is these next 2 months are going to affect our ministry for 50, 75 years ahead. So we have got to put the emphasis here. We've got to do it with quality. This is vitally important because of how long it's going to affect the people that we can reach and how soon we can reach the vision that God's given to us. I think another area, Landon, is the social media area. A lot of churches are pretty advanced in social media. A lot are not. This is a great opportunity to move your people to communicating through social media. And whatever your accounts are, whatever platform you're on, it needs to be, again, quality work where people say, oh yeah, I can go to the Instagram account, I can find out what's going on. So it's a great opportunity to improve your ministry in this area long afterwards. And then the last thing I would say is you have to do the unexpected. People get used to things. And so one of the things that I realized was most people have strategically a trash can between their mailbox and their house. and they stop there and they deal with the stuff they don't want. And oftentimes things from the church get dealt with right there. So what we begin to do is we hand out packets to every family in the congregation. We'll have it set up on a Sunday. Pastor says, hey, after the service today, we need one family member to go by your zip code table and pick up your campaign packet. And if you don't pick it up, we're going to bring it to your house this afternoon. Great motivation for everybody to go get their packet. So we have a team that comes that afternoon and literally go to the homes and deliver those packets. Because it's about vision. And they knock on the door. It's not a go in, sit down, visit. It's a hand them, hey, we got some great information on the future of our church today. We want to bring it by to you. If they're not there, they hang it on the doorknob. But by the end of that day, 90 to 95% of all the families have the information, not only on the campaign, but on the vision and where the church is going. And that's just critical.
Yeah.
I mean, that pays dividends long after the campaign is over.
Yeah. And so in that marketing, talk to me about the difference between talking and producing stories, producing vision, and then the details of the building. How do you blend those? Talk to me about little
it needs to be a consistent story across the board. But one of the challenges you have is you've got your donors who are on the smaller end of donations. You've got the mid-level donors, and then you've got your large donors. And you have to share information with them in a different way. For example, if you have a meeting and a single mom who is trying her best to figure out how she can give $50 a month to this campaign for the next 3 years, if she's sitting there trying to figure that out, and on the other side of the room, you've got a large donor, a businessman, who he is trying to figure out how much of his contributions he can trust to this campaign. Their questions are going to be different. She's going to want to know many times what color the paint's going to be. He's going to want to know how much money is the church going to spend in interim financing and what that interest rate is going to be. So when this donor begins to ask questions, usually the large donor shuts down. He doesn't ask questions. He don't want to seem presumptuous. He don't want to come across in a bad way. He just doesn't answer his questions. So you've got to have a time where you have those large donors in a situation where they can ask their questions, where they can get the answers they need. Trust is one of the top factors in how well people give to a church, if they trust the leadership. So you've got to have opportunities to build that trust. It's really, really important for those large commitments that they have all their questions answered.
So in marketing, if you will, or sharing the vision to those large donors, I'm thinking about maybe of a pastor who feels weird about trying to gather all the big donors in the church, but maybe speak to that. How do you do that? Is there a dinner that you put on, or maybe a little bit of detail there?
You don't want to violate James 2. You don't want to show partiality, and that's really important. So there's several ways. Some churches, the DNA is such that the pastor can sit down and have those one-on-one meetings and say, look, I'm not here to tell you how much to give. I'm here to answer any questions you've got about what we're going to do. I'm going to let the Holy Spirit tell you what to give. He'll do better than I will. But I want to answer any questions. One of the most effective ways that I found is we'll have someone who is in that category of giving have a dessert, a coffee at his house, and we let him come up, he and some of his buddies in that same area, decide on the invitation list. Just because a person doesn't give regularly doesn't mean he won't give to a project. Many people haven't learned the discipline of tithing, but they will respond to a project which can lead to that consistent giving. And so they invite their friends to this event. The homeowner or the person who organizes it, he's in charge. And he says, guys, I've invited you here, and I've invited our pastor here to answer any questions you have about the project.
Great.
So the pastor has a chance to cast vision. The leader has a chance to say, this is why we're committed to this church. Here's what happened with us. I want our pastor to answer questions.